Hey guys, and welcome back to Approachable Napa. Today I'll be teaching you how to judge a book by its cover. We're breaking down how to read a wine label and what a label can actually tell you about the wine that's inside the bottle. Now, wine labels look complicated, but once you know what to look for, they are surprisingly simple. The more details you get, the more confident you can be in the quality of the wine. The first thing to look for is the varietal. That's just the grape the wine is made from. So this can be Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. Those are varietals. The label lists the grape. You already know a lot about what the wine will taste like. Next is the vintage. That's the year the grapes were picked. A younger vintage usually tastes brighter and more energetic. An older vintage is usually softer and smoother. Vintage isn't about good or bad, it's just where the wine is in its life. So if you don't see a vintage, grapes were probably blended from multiple vintages or multiple years. Then you can go ahead and look for where the wine's from. So wine follows the rule of real estate: location, location, location. The more specific the place, the more it usually tells you about the wine. If a label just says California, well, that's a huge area. It says something like Napa Valley, that's more specific. And if it says a single vineyard, that's even more specific. Now, specific places don't necessarily guarantee quality, but they do tell you that the winery is being transparent about where the grapes came from. Let's talk about alcohol percentages that's on all bottles. You don't need to obsess over this in particular, but it can give you clues. Higher alcohol content, well, that usually means riper, fuller, richer flavors, where lower alcohol usually means lighter, brighter. It's not good or bad, it's just a hint about the style. Um, so some labels will also tell you the wine was aged in oak. Oak can add flavors like vanilla, caramel, baking spices. If you like smoother or rounder wines, oak can be a good sign. And if you prefer crisp and clean, well, you might look for labels that say unoaked, or maybe don't mention oak at all. Now let's talk about red flags, things that don't necessarily mean the wine is bad, but should make you pause and consider what you're looking at. If the label uses a lot of vague language like smooth, silky, luxurious, crafted, but it doesn't tell you the grape, the place, the vintage, that's usually a sign that the winery is trying to sell the vibe instead of the wine. Sometimes you'll see wines post a big score on their label, on their bottle, but those scores can come from really anywhere. Another red flag is when the label doesn't tell you where the grapes came from beyond a massive region. The bigger the region, the less you know about what's actually in the bottle. And if the label avoids giving you any real information at all, well, that's probably intentional. Now for green flags, things that can indicate a good bottle: a clear varietal, a clear vintage, a specific place, a vineyard name, a note about how the wine was made: barrel, aging, fermentation style. Again, these don't guarantee quality, but they show the winery is proud of what they're putting into the bottle and how much work they're putting in, and they want you to know where it came from. So, end of the day, transparency is always a good sign. So let's walk through 3 real wine labels so you can see what matters, what doesn't, and what each one actually tells you about the wine that's inside the bottle. So the first one that we have here is the HWC To Cologne. Right away, the vintage is clear, 2021. That's the year the grapes were picked, and you can see the varietal on the back of the bottle, 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And if you read more closely, it's actually a heritage clone of a specific block of Cabernet. That's very detailed information about the grape. The next thing that stands out, well, you've got the region, Napa, more specifically Oakville, and then followed by the specific vineyard name, To Cologne. When a label gives you a specific vineyard, that's a green flag. It means the winery is being very transparent about where the fruit came from. And single vineyard wines are almost always made with more intention. We get some additional information at the top of the label that you don't often see. And right here we have production quantity. This is 1,347 of 7,074 bottles. We also see up here the date bottled. We see that the date harvested, that it was aged in 100% new French oak, and This gives you very strong and clear information about the grape, the year, the specific place. It's everything you need to know to understand the style and the pedigree. Now let's take a step in another direction and look at Stag's Leap 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon. Again, you get the varietal right away, Cabernet Sauvignon, which means it's at least 75% Cabernet Sauvignon based on rules and regulations set, and the vintage is clear here, 2021. The big thing here is all you'll see though is it says Napa Valley. And when you read a label that gives you this kind of specific area, it tells you that the winery uses grapes from that region, not from all over the state, but also not a specific vineyard. Stag's Leap uses their estate name front and center. They're confident in their identity and the fruit source. The label gives you the grape, the year, the specific region, and it's exactly what you want to see when looking at a bottle, although not as detailed as something like the To Cologne. Third, here we have Dreaming Tree Crush. This is a great example of a label that's more about vibe than the details of the wine. The name Crush is there. It doesn't give you grape varieties on the front. It also doesn't give you a specific region beyond the broad area of California, which when a label keeps that vague, it likely means it's sourced from all over California, because they can be. So you're getting a little bit less information there. Now, this is what I'd call a story label. It reads all about the wine, its creation. Not necessarily a red flag, but we don't have the additional information to go on. So we don't really know the style until we taste it. Now, if you like the wine, great, right? More power to you. But if you want that information, then you got to go elsewhere. So a simple label doesn't mean the wine's bad. What matters is the information that you're getting. If the label tells you the grape, the year, the place, you already know more than most people reading a wine label. So that is how to read a wine label, what matters, what doesn't, and the little clues that can help you pick a better bottle. Once you know what to look for, wine shopping becomes way less intimidating and way more fun. Thanks for tuning in to Approachable Napa.